Today's video topic is going to be an interesting one. I've discovered this recently. As I was observing my own cognition, as I was putting together the spiritual inclination that I have, the overall frequency that I resonate at, I have come to find that people who are labeled as autistic or disabled, these people are undoubtedly the purest, most natural human frequencies on earth. If you're a person who likes to put stumbling blocks before the blind, if you think it's okay and if you think it's funny to put down a person for being more spiritually sensitive than you, and that comes off as a childlike wonder that may not seem mature or in style, that gets smashed out by the time you're in middle school. If you're a weird kid, you're basically just still a child, and you're in this chicken cage. You're in this factory. You all came on the same boat, but for some reason you're the black sheep. Of the slaves, you are the black sheep because you've held true to having a childish sense of communicating and having hyperfixation on things that you are passionate about and enjoy. You don't think you have to mask that. So, imagine a man who is 32 years of age, but in his brain, he may as well be a 11-year-old, right? So, with this being the case, are you going to be a fucking weirdo and put a stumbling block before the blind? Are you going to say, hey, I mean, this guy is 32, so technically he's mature. Let me give him a heroic dose of psilocybin mushrooms. No one in their right mind would think that's okay, right? We have certain things about us that we don't even need to be beaten to understand. We don't need to be programmed to understand that when things of a spiritual nature that can be controversial. Imagine an atheist being mad because the Torah has dietary laws. You can't eat whatever you want. Why does God care about what I eat? Like, you got to think about an atheist and how an atheist would be just inclined to cherry pick everything that doesn't resonate with him. They just focus on things they hate. What they hate is shit they can't understand. Oh, well, why does God care if I eat shrimp or shellfish? How inclined are you to eat cockroaches? Not that inclined, are you? You aren't fighting for the right to eat cockroaches now, but just for some reason you're fighting for the right to eat shellfish when I tell you that shellfish are basically water bugs. When you eat shrimp, you're eating a water roach. Crabs are water arachnids. I don't want to eat spider. I don't want to eat roaches or spiders. I don't want to eat water insects that are classified as bottom feeders, who live off of dirt and feces. When you eat shrimp, you're getting iodine poisoning because they use the iodine in an attempt to kill the fecal matter that's on the shrimp. So you're getting E. coli. You're just microdosing E. coli and iodine as you eat your water bugs. And it's so worth it, right? Well, no, it's not worth it because it's a simple diversion of frequency to what is natural, to what is perfect. When you go against these dietary laws, you open up countless doors to other ways you can spiral downward, because all it took was that one nudge, that one, hey, just break this one dietary law. It's not even that serious. You thought it wasn't that serious, but now you've eaten this and you've defiled yourself. You've lowered the frequency of your temple because you were way more sensitive than what you thought you were. Through your ego, you allowed your body to open the gateway through low vibration to force yourself to spiral downward and fall into other sins. And it all started from one quote-unquote harmless thing. You eat the water roach that's drenched in butter and MSG, that's so yummy, and now you're vibrating at fecal matter. You're vibrating at the frequency of this water roach that you consumed. So you may as well be garbage. So now your body's operating like garbage. Now you're attracting garbage. Now you look like garbage, right? So this looking like garbage then turns into an insecurity and depression. And this physically manifests as you being fatigued all the time, you being ill all the time, you being a fat fuck. You defiled your temple so much, your temple is physically manifesting what a defiled temple looks like, right? You have hypertension. Your heart can explode at any time because you have so much sodium intake. You're liable for an aneurysm at any moment because all you consumed was that garbage, right? Oh, but it wasn't that serious though, remember. It wasn't that serious though. It's never that serious until it is serious. So, again, let's reel this all back in. You see how I just went on that tangent? Or not even a tangent, but do you see how I made this one point that could be perceived as a tangent? This all ties back in. This is all congruent. How inclined are you to eat crabs or shrimp? Maybe a little inclined if you live in America. But think about this. How inclined are you as a human before a person who's influenced by a culture or a codex of text and dietary laws? How liable are you personally to eat tiger? Are you hunting tiger that frequently for it to be a considerable part of your diet? Would tiger meat taste good? Are you dying for zebra meat right now? No, and it sounds kind of fucking silly when, you realize that's also two animals that are restricted in my dietary law. I'm not too liable to be caught eating a fucking frog, so I don't see why pork would then be a problem too. When you just educate yourself on what this does to you, what this low frequency food does to you, this quite honestly disgusting carcass that you shouldn't even touch with your hands. You're putting this in your mouth and you're digesting it. Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. Once you get into the meat and potatoes of this, it sobers you up real quick and it shatters that ego. There's always this inability to not let sleeping dogs lie. In this case, this stems from Eve. Women being more inclined to do evil than men. We're all different, just like how we are different in bloodline. We are different in terms of sex. Men are different than women. We have different standards. Women, unfortunately, being more inclined to have an evil seasoning to them. Gotta think. Back to Eve. Satan didn't choose Adam to basically give him that middle school nudge, that do it pussy, when he was like, hey man, eat of the fruit, you'll become as God. Hey man, he said no, so I'm not doing it. So he targeted Eve. Hey, the one who's more sensitive, the one who's more liable to act on impulse and emotion and not reasoning and not logic. Think about how women are more incapable of allowing a sleeping dog to lie. Everything needs to be aroused or, let's say, aggravated when it could be left alone. They should read Sun Tzu. I think every woman should read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. If you are highly impulsive and emotional and that creates problems for you, if you find yourself taking your anger out on someone who doesn't deserve it, if you're like blowing up at people, or if you're just like real wrathful when you don't need to be, and you think if you're feeling like everything is a spiritual war, if everything feels like a war on your emotions, find out how to best go to war with that, and you'll find yourself acting calmer once you observe yourself more than you just cause yourself to react physically and viscerally. That doesn't help, and you're just attracting more of that fight that you think you need to win because it's so noble. And this nobility, when you unveil it, is just hypersensitivity, just overstimulation, sort of like autism. So are autistic people odd, like inhuman? No. So why are we looking at autistic people, these categorized people who are different because their frequency and sensitivity to frequency is imbalanced. Just because it's imbalanced doesn't mean it's flawed, it just means it's irregular. And in some cases, it's a superpower. Think about this. Think of every guy in your friend group right now. How liable are they to just know how to build a train, even if they don't even work in that field? How liable they are to build a train? Kind of, sort of. And one autistic man would be more liable to know how to build a train, top to bottom, than any of your friends. So chew on that for a minute. I would like for you all to consider the fact that when people like Abraham are spoken of, or when people like Noah are spoken of, don't you think that they would have definitely had to have had a cognition that was akin to a militant autism? When you read of these people, these true Hebrews in Torah, you read about them they are more willing to die. They are more willing to be fed to lions. They are more willing to be boiled in oil and tortured and killed. They are more willing to go through all that physically than to eat pork. A person would see that at the time like, man, you're at a king's feast. Oh, but someone told you that, or you were already aware that the animals slain, these animals were slain to an idol. These animals are detestable, they're unclean, and they're sacrifices to a demon. I'm not eating this. I'm not defiling my temple with this, my body with this. Come on, man, it's not that serious. It's just pork, man, just eat the pork. No, come on, everyone's looking at you. I'm not eating this shit. The king is pissed off at you and he wants you dead. Just eat the pork. I'd rather you kill me. And you find that every time you exercise this ultimate autistic militant faith, it gets rewarded. Again, retard max this. They want to make autism akin to idiocy. They propagandize you to think that. But in reality, autistic people are really a threat. They are a fucking threat. One autistic man, if you tell him to watch Naruto, if you plant a seed in his brain, you are the best fighter in the world. Watch Ippo, watch the entirety of Naruto, just fucking binge it, no life it. He kills all that shit in the week. He watches all that shit. He's fired up. He has all these hypersensitive emotions and hyperfixations to the love of training and the discipline and the spirit that comes with this, and the gratitude and the love for it. And he's getting really autistic about the geometry of his body and how it's positioned in his form. He's getting good and good and good. He's getting better. And to the point where this autistic man that you told he was the best fighter in the world, he held on to that because not a hope of this being the case drove him to do what he did to become an actual fucking threat. This wasn't that. This autistic man, when you give him a reality, his whole brain and reality itself morphs to that, sticks onto that, because autistic people tend to have ultimate faith, depending on how sensitive you are, depending on how autistic you are. There's a reason why that fucking GATE program, that Stargate program existed. They wanted to pull the triple-digit IQ children who were 6 years old. They were pulling them out of fucking second grade. I remember that shit. They had me put that the old-timey earphones to my ear. They had us like take pink pills. They were trying to make us autistic but low functioning, or hypersensitive to the fact, to the point rather, where we go non-verbal. They put fluoride in your fucking toothpaste. They're trying to make you autistic at every turn. They want you to be so autistic. You're not an idiot, but you're just so sensitive to everything because they impaired your brain so much. You go non-verbal. But it's funny because non-verbal autistic people are still very, very communicative. They're just not exceptional at pronunciation. So when someone is stimming and they make a vibration with their lips, a bruh, 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 or they have a certain letter that they like to say, like buh, 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 that means something. That's not random nonsense, because he's doing it like 50 times a day at certain situations. and you can always feel kind of why he's doing that. You can just assume the best possible context for why that person's stimming, and you can kind of speak his language. While you're thinking about that, I'm going to lasso the point back so this doesn't become a tangent. Hypersensitivity. They're pulling kids out of class. The fucking CIA. We'll get back to you with the results. They don't give you any fucking results. They just knew that you were the only INTJ, like fucking triple-digit IQ student in fucking elementary school. So they already had their fucking eyes on you, and they already had their fucking eyes on your dad too. And they had fucking Masons trying to trick him into joining so they could just have you under their control and under their spell. You're a fucking problem. You're an idiot, and you're schizo, and you're delusional. You're all those things at first, but if you had this retard faith, just like if you're a piece of shit cigarette mom, and you like it's like you just shit out a son, you just shit him out, right? Dude ain't got no dad. You don't give him any toys, no phone, no TV, so he just wants his mom. And he's pulling out your fucking gown, mom, check this out. You're chain smoking, and you just, for some reason, instinctually conjure a demon. What the fuck does he mean by that? Go away, or else the fucking razor teeth rape man will come and kill you and slit your throat in your sleep. And this kid gets scared as shit, and he runs to his room, and he believes that. Children are not stupid. They are highly sensitive, to the point where they're so gullible and stupid and naive. No, they're just too trusting around people like you. Because when people do shit like that, because it's so ingrained in this society to fucking lie and just be dishonest about everything. We're dishonest with ourselves, and we're dishonest with our own children. Why the fuck are you lying to this little nigga about the tooth fairy? For what are you doing this? For what purpose are you doing this? For what purpose are you assuming the Christmas spirit and you're breaking yourself financially? Statistically, most Americans cannot afford Christmas, and they get really suicidal around that time. That's the Christmas spirit. It's a fucking demon. Happy Satellania, dickhead. You're fucking yourself. You're kneecapping yourself for no fucking reason, and you're putting a dick tree in your fucking living room. And what? What the fuck are you truly celebrating? Why are you fucking in your 40s and you're still celebrating this shit, and you're taking it seriously? Fucking like, get a fucking grip. If you can't let go of pork and Christmas, it starts with that shit, man. And again, you're the weirdo because you're the only guy who doesn't celebrate Christmas. You're the only guy who doesn't eat pepperoni on his pizza. But this militant autism, just like how you conjure this demon for this kid, like, the boogeyman's gonna kill you if you don't leave mommy alone, right? You fucking send that kid screaming and crying. That's because, again, he's hypersensitive to that energy. You visualize the demon in your head. Don't say you did it. You did, because you were creating this demon, and then you were simultaneously vocalizing its characteristics and all of what it's all about to do to you into existence to a person who you knew would believe it, because you foolishly thought he was stupid. No, he was just too sensitive. So now when he sees shit for a week and he's screaming for you, don't be mad when what you put out is exactly what you received. This kid can't fucking sleep now because he's actually being fucked with by a demon that no one else can see but him. We gotta be more sensitive to these things. We gotta be more autistic to these things. Let's stop using the word autistic. These people are spiritually sensitive. And I think I find the beauty in what it is like to be autistic, because when you smoke cannabis, when you smoke quanabasham, you are actually just giving yourself a free sample of what it's like to be autistic. Have fun arguing with that when the most eloquent person or the most stuck-up person still got a huge stick in his ass, but when he smokes this, he's blubbering like a fucking infant. All his inhibitions go away. He's autistic. He doesn't care what anybody else has to say. And there's so much stigma against smoking for this reason. Oh, they're just idiots and they rot your brain. It doesn't do that though, but your alcohol does. Oh, they're losers and they're all bums. I don't think a person, even if they had no employment, if a person is spending your paycheck on a plant with no job, I don't think that person's a bum, man. I don't think that person's a bum. Are you going to let a pothead out-hustle you? Crackheads are already out-hustling you. Do you think crackheads are poor? No, he's just spending all his money on crack. But this nigga has smoked more crack than what you've worked for in 1 month. Gotta take these things into consideration. Because again, if you're not autistic or schizo, then you're this or you're that. They have all these categorizations for you for this reason, because with autistic categorization, best believe there's autistic hyperfixation. These people are keeping tabs on you. These monitoring spirits are keeping tabs on you. The government is keeping tabs on you. So just don't mask, but master how autistic you are with. Say if you like to communicate stuff that's going on, read Sun Tzu. Please don't give out all your information for free. There's no reason. Do not tell anybody more than what they need to know. If they don't need to know it, hey, let's cold this autism, like this cold as autism for a moment. Let's not be so vocal. We can be giddy and excited like a child about it, but let's be mature about it. Because children can be mature. Actually, children can be hyper intelligent. People think kids are stupid. If you put one 4-year-old in a room full of 20 fully grown men, there's an overwhelming likelihood that that 4-year-old is actually smarter than all those men. And the reason why I say this is because if you plant a seed in all these fully grown, mature, smart men's head, you are the greatest fighter ever. Here's some boxing gloves. Never forget that you are the greatest fighter ever. Now train like you are the greatest fighter ever. They're probably doing that shit for 2 days and then fucking forgetting it and then falling back into their low frequency habits. You tell a child that, he will not part from that. He will have that autismal hyperfixation about being the greatest fighter ever. He will train and he will truly believe, because he has this retarded autistic or hyper faithful mindset, that he truly is the greatest fighter ever. All it took was for somebody to tell me this, and all it took was to watch Naruto on no skips, and now he's actually the greatest fighter ever. Because when this kid is now 17 and he's able to smash a fucking 30-year-old man's face in, who was the dumb one? The guy who thought that he was too mature and cool to work out and to train, so now he's getting his face smashed in by the 17-year-old? Who's the idiot? You gotta ask yourself, who's the idiot? You gotta do it. You gotta look at that ego and realize it was just a veil. That's not you. You are not this body. I'm confident that you know this by now, but you are the soul, observing the mind, that's observing the physical around you. So when people call boxing the sweet science, it's because it's literally just science, or alchemy, because spiritualism supersedes all science, all third dimensional, hyper fixated, autismal categorization. If you give a man who smokes millions of dollars worth of Cannabis, here's a button, and this button, when you press it, you will have the experience of feeling like how you feel like when you smoke your favorite strain forever and you never have to buy Cannabis again. He probably wouldn't press that button because he'd rather spend that money, he'd rather grow it, he'd rather learn about it, and he'd rather attract it. He would rather attract his wealth. He would rather use his hands, his mind, and his soul, his frequency to attract it, and not just use AI, and to not sell out, to not just use this odd, weird, unnatural thing, this cheap thing, this instant gratification thing. When you do sorcery or witchcraft, you're basically just using AI. You're rotting your brain, and you're allowing this odd spirit, this stranger, this low frequency intrusion to do the work for you. You were given a body for a reason. You were born for a reason. You have a spirit for a reason. You have a soul for a reason. You have a brain for a reason. We have fingers. I could be this certain of myself when I say that that cannabis is a holy incense, and when you smoke it, you become autistic, or you at least get a free sample of a trial run of being autistic. This is why everyone loves it, because everyone likes when they feel childlike, when they get that same focus they had when they were 4 years old and their blood's pumping and they're on the playground. Who doesn't love to feel like this? Or it makes you relax after a long day's work like you're a kid again and you have no worries. It's all escapism when used for the wrong reasons, because you're using it like a loop. You're using it to escape. You're just going to find yourself right back in that trap, that rat trap, though. And if you get addicted to Cannabis, you're a fucking faggot, dude. What the fuck are you getting addicted to this beautiful thing for? It's so beautiful I could smoke it once and never again. This is the first thing I said when I smoked it. If you find yourself like, oh, I need it. I used to know a guy, he'd cut himself if he ran out. And he said that he was high-functioning autistic. That's something that a autistic person would say, because he didn't like the fact he was diagnosed, but he accepted it because he thought that the type of autism that he thought he had made him smarter. So definitely douchey enough to be quote-unquote high-functioning. And high-functioning is just like what a normal guy would do if he had autism. He'd do some douchebag shit like that. Like Brian Griffin would do some shit like this. There's some just complete tool shit. And looking back, he was definitely autistic, but he was more, I say, low, mid-functioning. Generously. Because Cannabis actually balances out your brain's, I want to say, well, it does affect your alpha waves. And with autistic people, there's something about the alpha waves. If I cannot recollect the exact wording, I'll just put the information up on the screen. You know what? Yeah, that's more useful anyway. Here's the information. You see where, like, whatever I was going to say about the alpha, or was it the gamma? You see where I will connect the dots here later on during editing. So autistic people get a free trial run of what it's like to be quote-unquote normal, and it's just as thrilling. You gotta take in mind, these people are super sensitive. They're always thrilled, they're always stressed out, they're always overstimulated. So if they were to smoke, they can feel, oh wow, this is what it's like to be in control. But then they can also go into psychosis. They're very liable to go into psychosis because they're already super liable to hyperfixate and to latch their frequency onto whatever at that time, because they're just so easily overwhelmed and they overflow with just the tiniest bit of stuff, right? So it's like giving a child an LSD tab. What the fuck are you doing that for? And the thing about karmic debt and Satan is they gotta tell you what they're doing while they're doing it. So it's like, hey, it was on him. You make the poison apple stand and you make sure the word poison is on the stand sign. You give a guy an apple. Hey, $5. Okay, he dies. Hey man, I said it was poison, so it's his fault. That's how Satan operates. Pretty douchey, right? Hey kid, here's a K2 blunt, smoke this shit. Oh shit, he died, man. Well, how was I supposed to know? I mean, why are you giving kids K2 blunts? Why are you eating tiger meat? You see how I brought that back? It's so easy. Why are you conversing with the serpent who is saying to do this one thing that you were told not to do? You're currently in heaven on earth. This fruit contained the frequency of heaven on earth. So when you did the opposite of what you were instructed to do, which is to not eat of that fruit, oh, well, you said I can become godlike? Bite. Ah, I see. I fucked everything up. Time to take no accountability. My first thing that I will use my mental alchemy and godlike conscious for, I will use it to bring down others. I will use it immediately after receiving this to lie and to psychologically shame and manipulate. So it was as easy as a do it pussy for Eve, and then Eve basically do it pussied Adam. He does it. Fucked everything up. And if you are very, 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 very illiterate, but you think you're smart, oh, well, why does all bad things happen? Because Apple. Well, that's so dumb, because you're looking at it with a painfully third-dimensional view. When you open one door, that is a diversion, that is a complete coasting off and backsliding of the natural frequency, of the perfect frequency, of the frequency that we are told to align to best operate, so we can be autistic at the highest possible function. High-functioning autism, true high-functioning autism, are the people who know how to build trains from the ground up. The high-functioning autistic people are like so proficient at advanced algebra. If you taught them unclean stuff, if you gave this 4-year-old a K2 blunt, if you gave him a book and like it had Zohar shit in it, he'd be able to fucking do portal sorcery, magic, whatever the fuck. He'd be an issue. He's a fucking threat. So this is why your clothes are fake and they put plastic in your balls. They want to just cut you off from that. They put rubber on the soles of your shoes. They put chemicals in your toothpaste. They put chemicals in your water. They want you to drink birth control. They want you to drink fucking anti-psychosis medication that's being flushed down the toilet. They want you overstimulated. They want you doped up on porn, on McDonald's. They really don't want you outside tending to your own frequency, charging yourself like how you frantically charge your vapes or your phone. Go outside and put your bare feet on the grass. Focus on how the earth feels. Align your frequency to the earth so you won't feel like you're panicking all the time. Perhaps you will find yourself through some meditation no longer dependent on a substance or on a medication to make you feel at peace. They want you doped up on pharmaceuticals. They want you under their spell. They want you to be at their mercy. You don't get to control your heart or your mind. So, with that being the case, I could either keep going or I can make a part 2 about this thesis. Enlightenment theory. Autism and cannabis theory. And enlightenment theory is up next. Alright. Yeah, that's fair. Shalom.